Hello, everybody. Welcome to LettermenRow.com. I am Jeremy Birmingham. This is Bermanology. We are staying in the class of 2022, whipping around the country, trying to get an idea, a read on Ohio State targets, commitments, prospects in that class. And today we're heading over to New Jersey to introduce a defensive end prospect, Jihaad Campbell. Jihaad, thanks, man, for coming on the show. I guess we'll start with the fact that you won't be in New Jersey much longer. That's sort of the big news for you right now, that you just announced you're transferring to the IMG Academy.
Yep. Yeah. So that. Go ahead. What you was about to say?
Well, I mean, what goes into that decision? I know that it's something a lot of kids around the country in your position have an opportunity to do. How hard is it for you to come to that sort of choice?
Well, me and my family thought hard on the decision. Like how they produce players. Like what you go through and what you're looking at, like when you go to that school, like the ultimate goal and stuff like that. So it's basically like a college prep. So me and my family was just thinking about it, and we felt as though that was the right decision to make for me to go to that school.
I think that's the most interesting part of the IMG process for people, Jihaad, is that when you go there, essentially that first year of being at IMG, and so in your case, it'll be your final year and a half of high school, it essentially is like being in college. I mean, it's going to make you much more ready for the mental grind of being away at school. How important is it for you from a football development standpoint to go down to a place like that, though, where you're playing against, the best of the best of the best week in, week out?
I mean, obviously, the competition, and just really understanding like the fundamentals of football and what your actual position is assigned to do, not just, oh yeah, go ahead and blitz or such and such. It's really just breaking down every fundamental part about what you're going to be doing on the field.
And for you, I mean, you do a lot of things on the field currently, and you have for the last 2 years at Timber Creek High School in New Jersey. How do you see your role transitioning? Are you starting to really dive into that idea that you are a defensive line prospect? I mean, you still play a lot of stand-up linebacker. You play tight end, wide receiver. Where do you see yourself really developing?
I think I see myself as a stand-up guy, outside backer type. 'Cause I can rush off the edge. I can drop in zone coverage. I can do it all. So.
What is your current height, weight, and that sort of stuff for people out there who haven't had a chance to look up your profile yet?
My current height is 6'4", and my current weight is around between the range of 220 to 225.
Where do you think that you're wanting to be at weight-wise? What's most comfortable? I mean, what are coaches seeing from you?
I think like weight-wise, I think I'm actually good. Well, I can get better. To at least to gain like 5 pounds. That's it. I don't really want to put on a lot of weight.
That in an opportunity to stay more at a linebacker type position?
Yeah.
Got it. Well, let's talk about Ohio State. Obviously, that's what we cover on LettermenRow.com is the Buckeyes. What is the relationship with Ohio State like? They are the last team that you've listed as an offer on your Twitter profile. I know that it's been primarily Matt Barnes recruiting you, but what is the relationship with Coach Barnes, with Larry Johnson, with Mark Pantoni? How is that going for you?
Well, the relationship with all those coaches, it's good. It's pretty cool, to really interact with each other and talk about things like beyond football. We just talk about like, what are you doing in the day, or just anything. Share a couple tweets to each other and just make some jokes and laugh around. But we really just talk about like just football and stuff like that, and really just understanding what I got to do. And obviously right now, it's Corona out, so I really can't go nowhere. So they're just saying, they can't wait until I come up there.
Have you been able to do a virtual visit with the Buckeyes yet? One of those days where they whip you around on a bunch of Zoom calls?
No, not yet, but I would love to though.
Well, obviously they're focused on getting ready for a big game against Clemson, and recruiting is sort of on the back burner for them. How hard is it for you as a recruit? You're starting to become sort of a national name. You have offers from Clemson, from Ohio State, two of the biggest schools in the country, and with the move to IMG, more are going to come. Are you finding it easy to sort out which coaches are sincerely interested right now and which ones are just kind of playing the game where they're keeping you warm, I
I mean,
guess?
sometimes it's really kind of hard to really tell because sometimes coaches like they send graphics out, so you never know, like, are they really interested in me or are they just sending me these to fill my heart up with joy and stuff like that. So I mean, it's kind of pretty hard right now, but uh, I'm still staying in contact with like Clemson and Ohio State and those colleges and stuff like that. But it's just going to come down to that final decision. So.
Before the COVID-19 pandemic happened, you were able to make a couple visits around the country. You went to Notre Dame. You've been to Temple, Rutgers. What did you gain out of those visits to help you as you prepare for the next round of visits? I mean, does it change what you go into those visits expecting to see or wanting to see?
I mean, yeah, like going on those visits, I seen like different perspectives, from a coaching perspective, how they like how they're
Well, every program's run way different, right? So I mean, you're going to see some coaches are going to be involved with it themselves. Some are going to have their assistants dragging you around. What is it that makes a visit worthwhile for you and your family? What makes it like matter or stand out?
Just enjoying it and really understanding why you're there. Just not just being there because it's fun and because it's a vacation or whatever you want to call it, but really just understanding what you're going to be going through if you come to this certain college or that certain college, and you and your family is just basically just watching a game, just touring all the facilities and stuff like that to really get a feel of how it's going to be when you get to that next level.
This season, you have not been able to make visits, but you obviously are still watching football. What is it? Who are you watching? What schools have really captured your attention on the field this year?
Say it again. I'm sorry. I couldn't.
As far as this season, obviously, you're not allowed to be, doing a lot of visits, but you're still watching football on Saturdays, I assume. Who's caught your attention? What defenses do you like? What type of player do you see yourself, on TV going, oh, that's a guy I could play the game like?
I mean, plenty of teams have been playing real good this season so far. COVID season. So I didn't really scope out to see like who I would really be like playing as. I would like the only person I'll probably say that was playing before, but now he's in the NFL is probably like Isaiah Simmons type.
And that's obviously a former Clemson guy, a player who in the class of 2022, that's one of those sort of hot topic guys that everyone's like, oh, you could be like the next dude who does this.
Yeah.
Ohio State actually has a commitment from Deshaun McCullough, who is from the exact same hometown as Isaiah Simmons. And, there's been discussion about him being in that role and that sort of 6'5", 220-pound athlete, similar to yourself. Are you in conversation with any of the commits around the country, kids who are committed to other schools that are in your ear, or have you sort of been able to stay out of that?
I haven't really been talking to him. I think I might follow like a couple like on like social media platforms and stuff like that, but I don't really talk to him though.
What is it for you, Jihaad, that is going to break down like, when a school becomes a real option for you? What are you looking for?
I'm looking for a school, that obviously has my major, that has a great academic program, and really a great brotherhood, a great culture, and just a great environment like itself. Like, a team, that has a winning mindset, coaches that are great coaches, that don't just leave and just forget about the team and stuff like that. So all those things matter. And then at the end of the day, have to sit down and talk with my family about the decision and see if that's really like the right place for me to go to.
Do you know what it is that you want to study at the next level? What do you, if football didn't work out, if you couldn't play sports, what is Jihaad Campbell's life going to be?
I want to major in the business management type of field. So like engineering, personal financing, entrepreneurship, like things like that.
Is there any specific thing that interests you? Like, give me the best pitch. Pretend I'm the bank investor, and what business are you starting, and where does your passion for it come from?
I mean, I would probably see like being like a restaurant owner or like a real estate agent. I think my passion comes from that, like, from my dad, because he owns a restaurant right now, and he didn't go to school for it, but it's just like his mindset, like of what he wanted to achieve. And I feel as though, I have the same type of mindset going into.
Do you cook?
Yeah, sometimes I cook.
What's the dish du jour for Jihaad Campbell? If I'm walking into your house, what are you preparing for guests?
Well, I mean, it depends what you want. I mean, like you could want spaghetti. I'll cook spaghetti for you. I could try to cook Alfredo. I got a hard time cooking Alfredo, but I mean
it's difficult. It's difficult to balance out the cream and the Parmesan and the butter, man. Sometimes you put too much butter in.
And then morning time, I just cook like 5 eggs, probably like 4 slices of bacon, 2 pancakes. Something that's like just casual, not like too much. Probably a couple pieces of fruit or something like that, but that's all.
No eggs Benedict or anything like that. You're not poaching any eggs.
Nah.
That is a much more difficult thing than people think. I mean, so don't feel bad. You got plenty of time to learn how to properly poach an egg. As you start to look ahead in this process, obviously you're going to be moving down to IMG here shortly. What is it that, if you could map out your recruiting from here to signing day next year, how do you see it going? When do you want to make a decision? How many visits do you feel like you have to go on before you can feel comfortable? And ultimately, dream scenario, how does it play out for you?
Well, I mean, being a big recruited guy, I would say I would just like for it to be patient. I don't want, especially like during this type of season right now, I don't really want it like to be rushed in during COVID. So I just want to be patient with my process and really, just really like scope out like a lot of programs and just different coaches and stuff like that to see, like really just to scope out like the real from the fake, like the real perspective and stuff like that of different programs.
Obviously, that's difficult, right? I mean, it's like you said, in this environment right now, especially because 90% of the conversations you've had in your entire process are on Zoom calls, right? I mean, who are you leaning on to help you sort those things out? Is it your dad? Is it a coach? Who's really helping sort this process out for you?
I would really say my mom and my dad, like, being by my side and really, and, looking up schools with me and, just understanding like what type of schemes different schools run and what type of programs they have, stuff like that.
Did it take you by surprise when you started to hear from places like Clemson, Ohio State, et cetera? I mean, were you ready for that? Do you still have pinch me moments?
Nah, I feel as though, I have a lot of confidence in me. So like when I got those offers, I was like, obviously I was hyped, I was happy. But then at the end of the day, I still had to go to a workout and stuff like that. And I still had to be around people who was like, oh my gosh, he has Clemson and Ohio State. So, I mean, in those moments, I still had to be humble and, and just stay focused and locked in on what the ultimate goal is.
Well, look, man, I appreciate you taking time. I know you've got a lot of stuff on your plate here, wrapping up the holiday vacation and getting ready for the next step in your career. So we really appreciate you taking time and giving Ohio State fans an opportunity to know a little bit about you.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thank you for having me on this.
Glad to do it. That's Jihaad Campbell. I'm Jeremy Birmingham. This has been Bermanology on Lettermen Row. Thanks for watching, folks. We'll be back next week with another Ohio State target in the class of 2022. Thanks a lot.